I felt connected to a very deep pain, which I wanted to share and ask about. And it's the mother-daughter relationship. And it feels very suffocating. And I observe her expecting me to be her little girl, and then me responding in that way in the same time. So it's like a very weird pattern coming up there. It doesn't feel comfortable. And it just came up today. So I wanted to see if you feel like talking a bit about that. That would be helpful.
Yes. There's definitely a journey to be had with our parents. And maybe especially for the role that they would like us to stay in, because that's how they made us, that's what they know us as. The relationship itself needs to undergo a transformation, and that transformation needs for the inaccuracy of the movements together to be brought into light. And well, at least in my experience, my mother was completely uninterested in that, you know? You know that, any of you, from your own? Like, my mother isn't exactly caring much of reality as such. And so yet, basically, what I had to do is that I had to be the one to make the call. I had to be the one who walked in there with reality and had the ball, which she would throw my way, to let that bounce into nothing. So in that sense, you don't have to play the game. You choose to play the game. The game is yours to stop. And the moment that you do stop it, and the moment you choose to be truthful and actually call for her towards connection, you're going to feel whatever stands of resistance in her to be herself. Because most mothers are also very addicted to the fact of feeling like a mother. There is some kind of worth, there is some kind of role that they can stay with there, wherein they don't have to relate to themselves as women. You know? So inside of that, of course, there is, if you make the choice of bringing that connection, which I think basically everyone should do, because the clearing out of our relationship with our parents is a very significant part of growing up. It's a very significant part of cutting these old ties to the past and the old patterns of wherever we come from, basically. The journey in itself is towards pure relating. The journey itself is towards letting your mother have her reaction, have her resistance, without closing yourself, closing your heart towards her, and yet starting to respond in that connection with integrity. And sometimes that will mean to hold up a mirror when that ball is coming flying, that there is no one catching the ball on the other end. If I'm to talk about my personal experience of that, there was a whole dance going on until a specific point. And that specific point was when I completely and finally stopped responding to my mother's projection of me as her daughter. I wanted to meet her being to being. I wanted to meet her woman to woman. I wanted to meet her soul, and I wanted us to stand side by side instead of this gameplay of mother and daughter. And I had to wear that down through becoming so silent that I could be and stand in the face of that in her, which went into that reactivity as the reflection of the ball not being caught. So there was a very specific turning point on my end, which was that day, that moment where the ball was thrown and there was no response. And then to be present and let my mother have her whole roll of reactions to the fact that the game was over. And after that turning point, things changed. But there needed to be a confrontation. And not a confrontation as hardness or pushing back and all of this. Because as long as those are the attempts, that which is playing games is gonna react with retraction and having all of these ways of convincing itself it has a reason to shut down, a reason to be hurt, and then project the pain of the letting go over on you. You see? So that part of being true in the face of your mother is something you have to choose. Yeah.
I just feel the fear of what would come if I stay in my integrity, and I feel it will be a lot, and staying in love there, it requires a lot of strength and more love. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I gotta say though, yes, what you will meet is the entire wrath of the mama bear. That's my experience, at least. But actually somehow it feels more like that which is playing around, that which is trying to keep its position in relation to you, is going to face its own futility. And then that's going to collapse. And to me, that was experienced in that moment there as first that which was trying to keep its position, trying to take every shape it could. So first it tried with the blaming, like as if I was hurting someone by being real, And then it turned into like fury, like anger. And then in the end, it actually turned into sadness. And the moment that we were through to the sadness, I could walk straight into her and I could hold her. And she completely sobbed in my arms. And this was basically where that game there gave up. And we could meet each other on that deeper level where we could be true with each other in the pain straight, instead of the someone and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to hear it's possible to get there.
It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. And you're not only giving yourself a gift there, it's a gift to her as well. And in a way, it's a part of what we need to go through to clear the ancestral wounds, the ancestral wiring, everything. It's all connected in a way. And I can say for me myself, it's meant a lot to keep I could say my parents, but now we're talking about the mother, but to keep my mother close. Even though we've had our rounds, like we've had to deal with the shit, But it's totally worth it. And also because the willingness to go through that together, even though the other is not willing. But the willingness from your side to go through whatever it is with your mother actually is your return to your deepest love of the mother as well. So it's so all round that it's incredible, actually.
Yes. Thank you for the inspiration.